So without wasting any time, this is the first example of our video. So we have 4, 2, open bracket, x minus 1, and then you have x plus 3 on the right hand side. So when we say we have distributive property, we simply mean that this 4 is going to multiply this 2x, which is going to give you 8x. And then this 4 will then multiply this negative 1, which is going to give you negative 4. And then on the right hand side, you're still having x plus 3. So right now we are at the step where we have to group the like terms. Like terms are the numbers which are containing the same variable with the same exponent. If you may check, 8x and x, this is what we are going to consider as like terms. Then you're going to write them in the same side, on the same side of the equal sign, and then the remaining ones will go on the other side. And then we now have 8x minus x, and then equal sign. We have 3, and then we have positive 4. This positive 4 is coming from negative 4. It was negative initially, and then now it's positive. Hopefully you've had your teacher sometime before telling you that whenever you're crossing an equal sign, your number must change its sign. If it was negative, now it's positive. If it was positive, now it's negative. Okay, we move on. 8x minus x, you now have 7x. and then equal sign 3 plus 4, you have 7 on the right hand side. You divide by 7, you divide by 7, and then your value of x will be 1. Okay, we move to the next one. I hope it makes sense, by the way, before saying we move. And then we have number 2. We have a negative 5. You open your bracket, you have 1 minus 3x, and then you close your bracket. And then equal sign, you have 4, you have 3 minus x, and then you have positive 2. Distributive property, remember, negative 5 multiplied by 1 is going to give you negative 5. In mathematics, any number multiplied by 1 will remain as it is. And then negative 5 multiplied by negative 3x, you now have positive 15x. And then this is your equal sign. We're still using the distributive property in here. 4 multiplied by 3, you will have 12, and then 4 multiplied by negative x, you will have negative 4x, and then you have plus 2. I need you to understand that this 2 is not going to be affected by the distributive property because it was not part of the bracket. All right, we move on. And then we are now grouping the like terms. Numbers which are containing x one side, numbers which are not containing x on the other side. And then you are going to have now 15x plus 4x. I hope you guys can see, and then I hope you guys understand why I got positive 4x. And then on the right hand side, you have 12, and then you have positive 2, and then you have positive 5. All right. And then now you're going to say 15x plus 4x is giving you 19x. And then 12 plus 2 plus 5, this is also giving you 19. And then you divide by the number next to x, which is 19 in our situation. And then this 19 and that 19, they go to school. Okay. Yeah, they cancel. Well, not necessarily. The correct mathematical language for that, we say they divide. They don't necessarily cancel. But then you understand what I mean when they say they cancel. When I say they cancel, yeah. And then 19 divided by 19 on the right hand side, you have 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. Then we try number 3. Number 3, you have half x, and then open brackets, not half x, sorry, half, and then 2, and then 4x, and then close your bracket, and then equal sign, 7x minus 1, close bracket, and then minus 2. So still, even here, we are using distributive property. Half multiplied by 2, it will give you 1. And then half multiplied by 4x, you will now have 2x. You have equal sign. 7 multiplied by x, you now have 7x. And then 7 multiplied by negative 1, you have negative 7. And then you have a negative 2 there as your last term. And then when we are grouping the like terms, I'm going to take numbers which are not containing x's. I'm taking them to the left hand side. The constant values, I'm taking them to the left hand side. And then I will now have 1 plus 7 plus 2. And then on the right hand side, I will now have negative 2x, and then plus 7. All right. And then 1 plus 7 plus 2 is now 10. And then you have 5x on the right hand side. Remember, I told you that you must always divide by the number next to x, not necessarily a bigger number, not necessarily a smaller number. Any number that is next to x, that's the number that you're going to divide with. And then right now we have 5 as a number next to x, and then you divide by 5 both sides. 5 divided by 5, they go out, and then 10 divided by 5, you now have 2 as your x value. Then you're done. And then we do number 4. With number 4, we have 2x squared minus 7 minus x, and then open bracket 2x plus 1, and then you have 0 on the right hand side. So now our distributive property is going to be used here. This is where we are going to use distributive property. And then you have 2x squared minus 7 negative x multiplied by 2x. You now have negative 2x squared, because the value of x is now appearing twice. That's why we have exponent of 2 there. And then negative x multiplied by 1, it will now give you negative x. And then you have 0 on the right hand side. Grouping the like terms, you are going to end up having this value subtracting this value, because these two numbers are the same, just opposite sign. This one is positive, this one is negative, then they subtract. You're left with 0. And then you are going to say negative 7, and then I have positive x on the right hand side, because this negative x, it's now here, which is giving you positive x. The value of your x is going to be negative 7. All right, these things are getting much easier, hopefully. And then we go to number 5. This is how I write number 5, sorry. We have x plus 3, and then x minus 3. And then on the right hand side, oh, not on the right hand side, sorry. This is minus, so let me say minus x squared, and then I have positive 3x on the right hand side. So now our distributive property will be taking place between two brackets. So this is what I'm going to do. X multiplied by x is giving you x squared, and then x multiplied by negative 3, you are now having negative 3x. And then I come this way, 3 multiplied by x, positive 3x, and then 3 multiplied by negative 3, you have negative 9, and then minus x squared, and then on the right hand side you're still having 3x. Grouping the like terms, I expect you to see that this value here will subtract this one. You are left with 0. Same thing applies to this one. This negative value will add its positive inverse. You're left with 0. Its positive additive inverse. Yep. And then negative 9, you have 3x on the right hand side. Remember, you divide by a number next to x. Which number do we have next to x now? We have 3. And then we divide by 3. Which means that the value of your x, negative 3, will be x. The value of your x will be negative 3. Okay, one last question. Which is number 6. We have x plus 4 squared, and then on the right hand side we have x minus 3 squared. Okay, you are probably asking yourself, where are you going to use distributive property? You're going to use it here. This bracket, which is raised to the power of 2, you are going to write it twice, which is x plus 4, and then x plus 4. And then equal sign, same thing even on the right hand side. X minus 3, and then x minus 3. This is the point where you're using distributive property. And then distributive property, which is taking place between two brackets, sometimes is referred to as FOIL. I will explain this when we are solving for x in quadratic equations. X multiplied by x will now be x squared, and then x multiplied by 4 will now be 4x, and then 4 multiplied by x will give you 4x, another 4x, and then 4 multiplied by 4, you are now having 16. We do the same thing even on the right hand side. This is our equal sign, and then x multiplied by x is giving you x squared, and then x multiplied by negative 3 is giving you negative 3x. Negative 3 multiplied by x is giving you another negative 3x, and then negative 3 multiplied by negative 3 is giving you positive 9. These are the like terms, we add them. These are the like terms, we also add them, which implies that we have x squared plus 8x plus 16. 4x plus 4x is giving you 8x. And then equal sign, x squared minus 6x, and then you have 9. This 6x is coming from here. These two numbers here are giving you 6x. Negative 3x minus negative 3x is giving you negative 6x. If you are still having a challenge with this, please revise integers. Right? Okay, we are grouping the like terms. Grouping the like terms, before you can do that, you should see that this number will subtract that because they are the same, one on the right, one on the left. For now, they are having two similar signs. When you cross the equal sign, one will become negative and then they subtract. You now have x squared minus x squared plus 8x and then plus 6x. On the right hand side, you're going to be left with 9 minus 16. I hope people are still with me here. So this x squared and this x squared, they're subtracting each other, and then 8x plus 6x, you now have 14x, and then on the right hand side you're going to be having negative 7. Remember, we divide by the number next to x, which is what? 14, and then you divide by 14 here, you divide by 14, your x value will be negative half. I hope this video was useful. I'll see you guys in the next one. May you please comment on what you have learned, what you have noticed in this video. May you please like it also, subscribe, and then share it with anyone who you may think they may benefit from